welcome back everybody to another episode of Union Cigar After Hours. We're here again with Nick, our general manager. As always, I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
And what we're going to do tonight is something we've been looking forward to a little bit. I know Nick has been super excited about it because this is his absolute favorite line of cigars at the moment. The entire Robert Caldwell line. We're going to talk about it tonight. We're all smoking the Long Live the King by Robert Caldwell. When we come back, Nick's just gonna, you're not gonna hear much from Jordan and I. Nick's just gonna tell us why you should come down and check out the Caldwell line. All right, guys, we'll see you in just a minute.
Welcome to Union Cigar. Can I get you an espresso? Ashton Classic. Fine choice.
Look, honey, this building is from 1817.
Bring Francis on our episode tonight. We're going to talk about pairing cigars. Francis is one of the tobacconists here at Union Cigar.
Checkmate.
And what it is that a tobacconist actually does.
Yeah, so
All right, guys, welcome back. Like I said, Dave, Jordan here again with Union Cigar After Hours. We're back with Nick. Nick's going to run us through something that we've been looking forward to for kind of a while here, is just a review of the entire Robert Caldwell line. Some of you guys may have heard of, I think the Eastern Standard one is one of the ones that is a little bit more accessible, but all I'm going to say is so far, the King is Dead is what we're enjoying now. That's what we're going to do the review of. I'm sorry, Long Live the King is the one we're doing now. That's the one we're going to do the review of. I'm really enjoying it. I have yet to smoke a Robert Caldwell cigar that I didn't enjoy, which is not something I can say about every cigar manufacturer out there, right? So we're just going to hand it over to Nick and just let him do his thing, man. So why don't you get us started, man? Tell us a little bit about Robert Caldwell, who he is, where his line comes from, and why you like it so much.
Yeah, so Robert Caldwell and Caldwell Cigar Company has been in the cigar industry since 2014, and they debuted with, I'm going to say, all three of these lines. So that would be Eastern Standard, The King is Dead, Long Live the King, and they're his core trio, if you will. Eastern Standard, like you said, more accessible. It is a Connecticut wrapper, but it's a Brazilian Matafina seed. So it's a Connecticut hybrid.
Okay.
Matafina seed. And then King is Dead, Long Live the King are going to be a little more medium-bodied, a little stronger. This one that we're smoking right now is called, the Vitola is called the Heater. It's kind of a Corona Larga.
Okay.
A little bit bigger, maybe I want to say 42 or 44 by 5 3/4. And then this one in particular features Dominican Corojo wrapper, Dominican Corojo binder, and then Peruvian Viso in the filler with more Dominican Corojo and Nicaraguan Ligero Habano.
Okay.
So,
which you can definitely taste. I mean, this is not, I've had the Eastern Standard before, the Savages, which we'll get to and talk about. I've smoked that one. That's a little bit creamier, a little bit lighter. But I mean, even just, you lick your lips a little bit, you can really taste that Ligero that's in there. I mean, it is a definite dark, punchy, spicy kind of, it doesn't look like it from the outside, right? Like this thing is not like, you know, one of the like a La Flor Dominicano with their triple Lajero. It
Right.
looks almost like, coal black.
Yeah.
And you know what you're getting into with one of those.
Yeah.
One of the great things about Caldwell that I have found, and I don't know if you'll agree, is for me, every time that I've tried a new one and I think I know what I'm getting into, I've been surprised by it.
Yep.
Right? There's almost, the adage out there is that, I can look at a wrapper and tell whether I'm going to like it or not.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
And for a large part, you can. I'm a Maduro guy, so if I look at a Maduro wrapper, I know I'm probably going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
But Robert Caldwell does an amazing job with kind of hiding little gems and little different, like you said, the Peruvian filter.
Yeah.
The what did you say a minute ago was in here? The Brazilian Modafina.
Yep. So that's the Eastern
Okay.
Standard is a Connecticut and Brazilian Modafina hybrid
Okay.
on the wrapper.
And
but
what?
he-
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say he does. I mean, so in a world where Nicaraguan tobacco is king, right? He comes out with a cigar that's almost a Dominican Puro, right? And that's like, all right, well, maybe that's Fuentes. You don't want to touch that kind of thing, but and certainly other companies come out with Dominican cigars, right? We're big fans of DBL here. Obviously, they use Dominican tobacco, but it's almost like a contrarian approach to cigars that Robert takes. He doesn't want to blend a cigar that's like other cigars on the market.
Sure.
And I think he blends cigars because he's gonna like them himself.
Yeah.
And if you like them too, great. If you don't, well, I'm sure another brand's for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things that I like, I liked Robert Caldwell for a while, but when John came back from the PCA thing, like what was great for me was to hear that Caldwell's booth was basically like a 10 by 10 pop-up canopy tent
Yeah.
with 2 folding chairs out front.
Yep.
Like all of the quote-unquote fluff that you see at other trade shows and stuff, he's not into that at all. 100% of Caldwell Industries' energy is poured into the product.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
and their cigars sell themselves. They
Yeah.
don't need that
Absolutely,
huge,
absolutely.
flashy.
Yeah, I mean, all of the extra stuff that draws the eye in, of course, that's great. If you're not advertising, you're not catching people's eye, catching their attention, they're never going to see your product, right?
Right.
But I really feel, and I'm speaking completely out of school here, I'm willing to bet that most of Robert Caldwell's repeat customers started out as word of mouth. I can't say enough about them. Whenever somebody comes to me like, what's your favorite new cigar on the market, right? Like not that I'm no longer a huge Plasencia or My Father fan, or CAO's another big favorite of mine, but I've been smoking more Dominicans than Nicaraguans lately, and Robert Caldwell is just hammering the Dominican cigar industry.
Yeah.
Love everything they're doing so far.
yeah. And he switches it up. Obviously throwing a little bit of Peruvian and Nicaraguan in this cigar in particular, in the filler. His other cigars, use the best tobaccos on the market, and I really think that's what it's all about. And he blends his cigars because, like I said, because he likes them. And at the end of the day, he doesn't blend cigars for the general consumer to like. He blends them because he enjoys them, and then he wants to share that with,
Right.
with the consumer
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit different. When I worked in the restaurant industry, I have a cousin of mine is a chef, and it's a little bit different in the restaurant business, right? Like if all he did was make his favorite recipes all the time, then maybe somebody isn't going to come to his restaurant, right? But with cigars, it's so much different because it is a handcrafted piece of art.
Yeah.
So it's not just I'm making stuff that I like, and if you don't, pound sand,
Right.
I don't care, right? What cigar manufacturers are doing, because it takes something like 300 sets of hands to go from seed to what we have here now,
Seed to
right?
stick.
Yeah, seed to stick is 300 hands and years worth of people pouring their love, their passion, their expertise, their history and lineage into these products.
Yep.
And that is what, when we say, Robert's making cigars that he likes, he's doing something that he loves and wants to share it with the world, much
Right.
like any other artist. I mean, that's what these guys are. These cigar manufacturers are artists using a natural medium.
Yeah.
You know, the really great thing is it's okay to light these pieces of art on fire and put them in your mouth.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
tried to do that at the museum
Ooh.
one day, and you know they threw me out. They,
Yeah,
they were
bad
not
idea.
impressed, right? So what do we have here? Let's go through the line. Looks like we got 3, 4, 5 different blends here.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us the rundown and maybe some tasting notes on each one of these?
Sure. Yeah. So this we'll start off with like I said, his core line, his core trio, Eastern Standard. This one is, like I said, a Modafina hybrid with a Connecticut, and it's gonna have that smooth creaminess, but it's also, so I think as advertised on Robert Caldwell's website, they say not your father's Connecticut,
Okay.
right? So it's not gonna be that, you know, cut and dry, run of the mill Connecticut that you're used to seeing, you know, with creamy and you know, a little bit of pepper with the Nicaraguan filler or whatnot. And I've actually heard Robert say in interviews, "Oh yeah, you don't like Connecticut's? We'll try this," because it is so unconventional the way that he goes about blending his cigars. So Eastern Standard, Connecticut wrapper, like he said, the great words of Robert Caldwell. If you don't like Connecticut's, try this. This one is the King is Dead. It has a beautiful picture of a throne split in half, appropriate yet poetic. It also uses a good deal of Dominican tobacco from what I remember. And it is sweet, it is smooth, really good. We have it in the Manzanita here, and we have it in another Vitola downstairs, which is going to be close to the Vitola of the one that we're smoking right now.
Okay.
And then we touched on a little bit Long Live the King. Cool story about Long Live the King. So Robert Caldwell and AJ Fernandez are good friends, along with others in the cigar industry. But AJ, I guess, at a certain point in time, smoked Long Live the King and was like, yeah, this doesn't really fit my taste. And then AJ got sick, his palate changed, and he revisited this one, Long Live the King. And then the next time Robert visited him down in Nicaragua, AJ said, here, try this. And Robert Caldwell said, well, what is this? And AJ said, this is my interpretation of Long Live the King.
Oh, wow.
So there was on the market for a short period of time, Long Live the King by AJ Fernandez.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I
That's
guess,
awesome.
you know, you talk about the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, your friend having another chef try his food and then, you know,
Yeah.
plating it and cooking it as he interprets it.
Okay.
I mean, and that's all right, because flattery is the big, or I'm sorry, how does that go?
Imitation.
Imitation is the
Yeah.
greatest
Right.
form of flattery, right? I mean, so that's really great that they would do something like that. So let's talk a little bit about, for our viewers who may not be super familiar with some of the terms that we're using. When you say a Connecticut wrapper, what does that mean? Did it come from Connecticut?
Yeah, so most of
Okay.
so most of the original Connecticut wrappers were grown in the Connecticut River Valley in Connecticut in the United States. Obviously, seeds are transportable, so you know, people took those seeds and were like, oh, let's try to grow them other places, maybe where there's more land or more land available to, you know, the growers at that time. So Ecuador is another big place where they grow Connecticut shade wrappers now.
Okay.
But typical characteristics of a Connecticut wrapper is going to be a little bit lighter, sort of yellow
Okay.
in certain lights, you know, like a brownish yellow, so to
Okay.
speak. And it's going to be fermented for a little bit shorter period of time than a Maduro.
Okay.
So the Connecticut takes just a little bit shorter time than like a very dark leaf to make.
Okay.
And typically Connecticut's are shade grown.
Okay. All right, and correct me if I'm wrong, because Connecticut's are not something that I smoke a lot of, although I did really enjoy the Eastern Standard. What he says is perfectly true. It tastes like no other Connecticut that I've ever tried.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tasting notes you should expect from a Connecticut wrap, from a typical Connecticut versus what you're going to find in the Eastern Standard Connecticut?
Right, so Connecticut wrappers, because a lot of people in the industry are trying to get into cigars, look at the wrapper and say, oh, that's dark, that's going to be strong. A lot of blenders play into that and say, oh, this is light, we're going to make it a little bit lighter of a cigar. So sometimes, right, not all the time, no absolutes in this industry ever. A Connecticut is going to be lighter bodied and a little bit lighter on the flavor.
Okay.
So we have something like the DBL Amarillo Bellicoso,
Okay.
right, which you guys reviewed for your show.
Yep. Yep.
And the body on that's not too strong at all.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a bit lighter, and so he uses Connecticut shade wrapper and obviously Mexican San Andreas for the barber pole, but yeah, typically they're blended to be. People prefer them in the morning.
Okay.
With a cup of coffee, a little bit of cream.
All right. So definitely a little bit more of a lighter smoke, something a little bit more mild. Someone who's maybe new to cigars or isn't into or just someone who's looking for a change, right? I mean, there are times like when it's August and 112 degrees outside, I'm not always in the mood for one of these double or triple Ligeros with a double Maduro wrapper. You know what I mean? It just gets to be a little swimmy in the head when you get about halfway through one of those.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And then this last one here is what we're smoking now, right? The Long Live the King, just a little bit shorter, right? So I don't know if Mark can zoom in on that for our viewers. But yeah, a little bit smaller smokes. Excellent though. And would you say too, Nick, that you can, even though it might be the same blend of tobacco, right, from what we're smoking to the smaller size here, you can taste a difference in in the cigar, right, based on the size, right?
Yep. So as far as blending goes, the ratios and the proportions can change based on the length or the ring gauge of the cigar, right? So you can't, if you have a 60 gauge, you can't use the same amount of filler tobaccos as you use for a 48 gauge. You have to make the cigar bigger.
Right.
So, changing the ratios that way to make the blend work still is very important. So that's why taste can be different from size to size, even if it's the same, shell of a blend.
Sure.
Okay. Right on. And what do we have here?
So this is a special release from Caldwell Cigars. It's Long of the King, and they call it the Mad Mofo. And it is a Cigars for Warriors limited edition, so it's only available to Cigars for Warriors retailers, which we are proud to be a part of Cigars for Warriors.
Absolutely.
We have a donation bin by our front counter.
100%.
And it's, just to go over quickly, it's customers buy cigars, and we send them overseas to deployed service members.
Awesome.
So this is one that he did on a spin on the cigar that we're smoking. I think it's going to be a little more full-bodied. This one's in a Robusto size. Fantastic cigar. It is limited though, so may or may not be here when you come check it out. Give us a call all the time. We can tell you if it's here or not, but not one that we carry all the time, just one that the company does a really great job of supporting our troops and our service members active and overseas.
Awesome. And one of the ones that I've really enjoyed, I'm looking forward to, we're going to do the Midnight Express last, because I mean, that's kind of the flagship, right, of this line. But this one here by the Savages, or called Savages, I've really enjoyed that one. What drew me to this one first, like when we do appearance in all of our reviews, a lot of people say the band doesn't really do anything. I mean, and it doesn't, right? It doesn't really alter the flavor or whatnot. But this little steampunk dude on the front of here is what made me want to try it.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, we say these are pieces of art, and they really are. Every piece of them is a piece of art, right? Somebody designed this band, and this little steampunk guy, he looks kind of like that, who's that guy from Gangs in New York? That Daniel Day-Lewis played the character. You know what I'm talking about? Wild Bill or whatever. It was Bill something. Bill Cutter, right? So I thought it was pretty neat looking. That's what got me into trying that one. So why don't you tell our guys a little bit about this one?
Yeah. So this Savages that we carry in house is a 6x54 Toro, I believe. Real quick before I jump into this, I wanted to say about the art part. I think Caldwell actually outsources artists, local artists for his. So Robert grew up in Miami. And there's a big art scene in the Miami area,
right?
And so he actually contracts out artists for each of his designs, and so it's not done by him, not done in house. He pays actual artists to create these, and I think that also helps with his branding and the allure of his branding.
Awesome.
But as far as the Savages goes, and I know Jordan, you're a big fan of this cigar as well. It is going to be pretty close to medium bodied, creamy, smooth. It's a bit bigger gauge. So the smoke output's going to be a little bit more than maybe one of these 46s. But it is a great smoke for morning, midday, or even one, when you want to wind down at the end of the night, and not smoke something too strong.
Sure.
But it is a fantastic smoke.
All right, and I know this is more. Jordan got me into Lonsdales. I forget which one you suggested that I try. I think it was the Oliva, maybe.
It might have been.
Was one of the
Series
first
V?
one. Yeah, the Series V. Because we talked about it at one of our shows, and I called him effeminate or whatever.
The Virginia Slims of cigars.
Yeah, right. Because like I said, the visual appearance of them is what draws you into them.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right. But I did actually enjoy that Oliva Series V, and I also enjoyed the King is Dead Lonsdale. I hope I'm saying that right. You would classify this as a Lonsdale, maybe, not necessarily a Lancero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you.
So for the viewers, like a Lonsdale, right, just longer, a little bit skinnier cigar, and it lends itself more to a cooler smoke throughout.
It definitely did. That's one of the things, like, a lot of times with, like, something with the Savages or, like, one of these big, 60 ring gauges. Like, by Oliva, I really enjoy the nub.
Yeah.
I can get through those pretty quick. I like those when I'm fishing. When I'm out, my hunting buddies will scream at me for saying I smoke cigars in my tree stand, but I do. We hunt on farming land, so if they smell diesel fuel and it doesn't bother them, I don't think cigar smoke's going to kill them off either. But with a lot of times with those bigger ring gauge cigars, you really get a lot of that like lip bite, tongue bite. They're super hot. They're like 1,200-1,400 degrees at the end. Whereas the Lonsdale, it is a couple of hundred degrees cooler.
Yeah.
And you really do get an additional flavor palette out of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I would recommend you trying it. If you've never smoked a Lancero or a Lonsdale, find your favorite blend, find it in a Lonsdale or Lancero, and give it a shot. You won't be disappointed. And like I said, we have these in the shop relatively all the time. I say all the time, but we could always run out of something. Yeah. I guarantee if I say we have these every day, someone's going to come in here tomorrow and we're not going to have it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just that's just the way it's going to go.
I'll say I'm doing everything I can to make sure we have them every
day. There you go. Right. All right, our curator here is doing everything he can to make sure we have all these pieces all lined up.
So actually on that, you were saying the smaller gauge is like a change of pace. So when I was talking earlier about different sizes and filler ratios, it's because the filler, there's less filler in a skinnier size, so you get more of that wrapper flavor instead of the filler flavors.
Makes sense.
I think you guys talked about in an earlier episode how much of the wrapper is
30 to 60%.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of that's a big portion of flavor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People wouldn't think that. I'd imagine most people think the majority of your flavor is going to come from the filler.
Right.
But then they don't consider the rest of the construction of the cigar itself.
Yeah, one of the age-old myths about it is that the wrapper on a cigar is like the dress on a woman.
Yeah, right.
Gives you absolutely no clue as to what's going on underneath, right? Which is completely false.
When really it's most of it.
Yeah, when really it's most of it.
Referring to the wrapper.
Yeah, referring to the wrapper is mostly most of it. Yeah. So, all right, we got about 2 minutes left on our segment here. I definitely want to make sure we get into our review here. So let's do this. Let's do 2 minutes on the Midnight Express. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll let you guys know what we thought of the Long Live the King. All right, we'll see you guys in a minute.
Located on the square in historic Gettysburg, Union Cigar features the finest premium cigars for the casual smoker as well as the aficionado. Whether you're here to conduct business, enjoy a night out with friends, or just looking to relax, Union Cigar is the ideal place. We offer a welcoming atmosphere in our lounge with soft leather sofas and chairs, a warming fireplace, and coffee bar. Union Cigar, an oasis for those seeking a unique experience.
Welcome back, everybody. So like I said before the break, we're going to take like 2 minutes. Nick's going to tell us about the flagship from the Robert Caldwell line, the Midnight Express. Haven't smoked it yet myself. Got a couple sitting in my humidor at home. Jordan's shaking his head like
you're killing me with that.
He's been busting my chops about when I'm going to crack it open and finally give it a shot. I just haven't really found like that time. Like I'm always torn, right? Like you want to save cigars for a special time, right?
No.
Right, but
No.
then as soon as those words leave my mouth, I'm like, you know what? Any day can be a good time to smoke
right.
a high quality premium cigar, right?
Yep.
Enjoy life. It's too short. I could get hit by a bus on my way home here
That's right.
tonight,
You
and
might
then
not wake
and then
up
Jordan
tomorrow.
will raid my humidor and take my Midnight Expresses
right.
from me. All right, Nick. So give us the rundown on the Midnight Express, and then we're gonna give you guys our review on the Long Live the King.
So the Midnight Express is a line extension of the Eastern Standard. So if you see the difference here in the photos, right? It's a negative image of that one. I want to say it's Tsar Nicholas. I'm not entirely sure. So Robert Caldwell is not really a huge Connecticut smoker, so he wanted to make an unconventional Connecticut. He's not really a huge Maduro smoker either, so he wanted to make an unconventional Maduro. These cigars, Midnight Express, and most of the other Caldwell cigars are made at Tabacalera William Ventura in the Dominican Republic, and those guys down there also don't make many Maduros, so they wanted to switch it up, and they thought, well, let's work with Robert Caldwell, and make an unconventional Maduro. So this is I want to say Brazilian Arapiraca hybrid seed Maduro, and it is just packed with flavor. We carry it here in the Pyramid. We also have sometimes available the Toro or the Robusto, and this is just a beautiful Maduro cigar. It is not too full bodied.
No.
It really is medium plus.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking that.
Definitely.
So for a Maduro, on the lighter side of what you conventionally think of as Maduros, but just sweet notes on the wrapper. The mouthfeel is sweet. The Pyramid is a nice conical shape, right? I'm sure that's going to be a new inside joke. He said conical, but the flavor can really concentrate to the head of the cigar.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's a flavor bomb.
Yep, it is. Now another inside joke, right? But I did buy a box of these last week to split with my father-in-law because Dave doesn't buy boxes, and it's absolutely excellent smoke. I mean, I don't have one bad thing about it, and we can get that too in the rating. But I absolutely love that cigar.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's not a big Maduro, and I think there's the insert in the box where he actually goes through and he breaks that down. That he's like, I had never smoked a Maduro, so I wanted to make another unconventional Maduro, right? And for the viewers, I mean, looking at it, I mean, it is not a super heavy, dark Maduro, right? I mean, I think we have like some Sumatrans, right, that look more like this, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very light Maduro for sure, and actually a longer smoke than I would have anticipated. Like I was taking my time with it. I wasn't rushing it, right? Because excellent cigar, but actually I clocked in at I think around an hour and 45.
No kidding,
so,
really.
Yep.
It burns very slow, very well constructed. Like I said, Tabacalera William Ventura, and his son Henderson Ventura do some really good stuff down there in the Dominican. So no surprise to me that it comes out very well constructed.
Yeah, and we've said this a lot. Nicaraguan tobacco is huge right now, particularly Cuban seed stuff that was grown in Esteli or Jalapa regions. And we can do a whole nother episode about the growing regions, right? But basically, the Esteli region of Nicaragua has a lot of really dark, rich, volcanic soil. You get some great flavors out of there, whereas the Jalapa region is a little bit milder, a little bit drier, different type of soil. Adds a completely different flavor. Again, we could completely nerd out on that on a completely different episode, and it would be 4 hours long. So what we're going to do to wrap it up, we're going to start. Again, we'll start with Nick, and then we'll do Jordan, and then we'll do my review. So how did the Long Live the King come out for you, Nick?
So. Great cigar, since we usually start with appearance. Is that right, guys?
Yep.
You talked about the band earlier in this episode. The band is cool as hell. I mean, that's kind of like a younger gentleman with the crown tilted over his eyes.
Yeah.
And he's got like a little bit of like a gritty look to him.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it's got "Long Live the King" written in kind of like a cursive font on the back. A little bit of red, a little bit of Caldwell on there. Appearance is fantastic. I think I gave appearance a 20. And the wrapper looks good, right? who cares about the cigar? It's just the band, right?
Right.
The wrapper looks really good. It's a Colorado shade, not too dark, not too light. Just a beautiful cigar. Draw. I had a couple issues with this one in particular. The other ones I've smoked have been fantastic, but this one in particular, for some reason, was giving me some trouble. So I gave draw a 17. Flavor, aroma, and price for all three of those, I gave 18s. I mean, this is nearly unbeatable. I think we said sub $12.
Yeah.
Yep.
For this cigar. Really good flavor. I get sweetness from the Corojo from the Dominican Corojo wrapper, as well as some nuttiness and a little bit of pepper there on the finish.
Okay.
Awesome. So what'd you give it overall then?
Comes out to a 91.
91.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
And Jordan?
Seemingly mine was a little bit more ambitious, but for appearance and presentation, I gave it an 18. I agree with you on the label. Like all the labels on the Caldwell is just very decorative, right? With a little bit more of like the gold and some reflectiveness there. But the wrapper itself, like a little bit toothy. I do see some heavy, thick vein there, but still, I mean, beautiful overall. I gave that an 18. Draw for me has been perfect throughout. I gave that a solid 20. I've had no issues the whole way through. Flavor, I gave that a 19. I got a little bit more cedar on it, especially in the plume, the smoke that it put off. As soon as we lit these, I was like, oh, I should use a cedar stick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gave that a 19. Aroma, 20. I mentioned the cedar. Overall, I thought it smelled great. And price point, I gave it a 19. Under $12 for a smoke like this, I don't think is.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah.
Right. And so, what did that come out to?
That was a 96.
96, and that's where I landed. Right? Was it 96? And for those of you who were a little confused, we rate these from 1 to 100. We have 5 categories. We give up to 20 for each category. And the way it works for me, typically, if it's under 75, it's probably something I'm not going to buy again.
Sure.
Right? Anything over 80 is good. Anything over 85 is really good. 90 to 95 is, I think,
Premium, ultra premium.
Is premium, you know what I mean? And anything 95 or better is what I would call classic.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's something that is, I am definitely going to buy this again. Sure. You know what I mean? I just can't get enough of it.
Would you consider a box of 95
I would consider a box of 95 plus, yeah. The reason I don't typically buy boxes is just a storage problem at home. My wife has relegated me to one dresser drawer at home to be able to store stuff in. So these guys that buy, 30, 40, boxes of cigars a year, I just don't have anywhere to put them.
Start throwing socks away, man.
Yeah. If I just went commando all the time and didn't wear socks, I think maybe I could come up with some room, right? So I gave it a 96. Lost a couple of points on appearance for me. Love the band, love the artwork. But what really hammers home appearance for me is if you can see a little bit of that plume, a little bit of the toothiness. I really like it when a wrapper is nice and shiny. But again, 18 out of 20. I mean, you're looking at 96%, for the wrapper. So it came out really great for me. Flavor, 19 out of 20. Only lost the 1 point, like I said. And I don't even really know why. I could probably adjust this, but for me to say something is 97 points, I mean, I feel like I'd have to start telling lies about something. You know what I mean?
Right.
The draw for me, I gave it a solid 20. I don't have to work at this at all. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that will make me walk away from a cigar is if I really feel like I have to work to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I work hard enough at work as it is. I don't want to have to work to enjoy my cigars. The aroma also gave it a 19, has that really great cedary aroma. Again, I couldn't agree more with Jordan. I feel like we cheated ourselves a little bit using a butane lighter rather than doing the traditional. We'll have to bring Francis back on to show us how to do that really aggressive short strike on the match. And the price point, I gave it a 20. I mean, for under $12 to get a 96 rated cigar out of me, the coveted Dave Willier 96 right, is a big deal. I mean, that's a huge portion of whether or not I'm going to enjoy something again.
Yeah.
Is if I can pay just a couple of bucks above, like my normal sweet spot's like $8 to $10 for a daily cigar, right?
Yeah.
I have no problem spending an additional $2 to $3 on something that's going to jack up the rating to well up over that 90-point mark. And Robert Caldwell has absolutely done that with the Long Live the King. Looking forward to trying the Midnight Express. Like I said, if you're looking to try your not typical blend based on what it looks like, definitely come down to the Union. We'd love to see you down here at 5 Baltimore Street. Check out something from Robert Caldwell. Thanks for coming by, folks, and we'll see you next time at the Union. Have a good night.
Night.